Well, I don't want to do that. Here we go. Let's get to the first topic. Today, Sony had their first state of play of 2024.
And they did it earlier than normal, didn't they?
They did a pretty early one. And we know this is not the first one, and next week there's another one. We know on the 6th there's another one for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Deep dive into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Tone's probably going to fucking go nuts with that one. But today we just want to talk a little bit about what we saw from today's state of play. To be honest, Tone, I mean, if you ask anybody on social media or any gamer in general, the last couple state of plays from Sony have been, at best, okay to some underwhelming efforts.
So
hasn't been like a real, especially the last showcase was really kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it surely was.
The showcase is like the real big one that they focus on the first party stuff. Last of Us Remake number 5. No, surprisingly no mention from Naughty Dog at all.
There was a moment I almost thought something was coming, but no.
No Last of Us. But Tone, there were some titles that really stood out. Some titles that we've known about for a while, but we got to see some deep dives into the gameplay. The first of them being Stellar Blade, which comes out on April 26th. And I got some Nier Automata vibes out of this game.
A little bit of that, absolutely.
It really hits on quite a few. There was a game that came out on Switch that is exclusive to Switch that had kind of like a futuristic.
Was it the chained
one? Yes.
The chained echoes or something like that.
God, a chains
of something or whatever.
Does anybody know what that game is?
I loved that game, by the way.
That's the same vibe I got.
Yeah, that's a good vibe
from this trailer.
Yeah.
But this game looks really good. You play as Eve. She's part of this. Basically, Earth has been overrun by bugs or creatures of some kind. Something has invaded Earth.
Monster.
And it's like this, a post-apocalyptic Earth. And Eve is part of this strike team that's been sent down from the home colony. Because what happens once Earth was overrun, everyone was like, well, we're going to another colony on another planet. We can't stay here. So she's a part of this team that comes back to Earth to kind of help defeat these invaders. And it's a semi-open world game, so it's not fully open world, but semi-open world is still, there's a lot to explore typically. It's going to feature a lot of melee and ranged combat. There's party building. There's boss fights. It's going to be heavily cinematic. I actually think this looks really good, dude.
Yeah.
This one really kind of stood out because, like I said, there's a lot of cinematic. I can't believe it's not Nier. Dude, that's one of the things that we saw. We're just like, man, that's very similar to something like Nier. But I thought this was a good trailer, man. Like I said, the animation looks good. It's got that Japanese feel to it. And when the combat ramps up, it looks fucking dope. I mean, it looks exciting. It looks thrilling. But I want to get your thoughts, man. I mean, is this something that speaks to you?
Yeah. Well, you know me. I'm weeb guy over here. So as soon as I saw it, is it? I don't know for sure, Brian. Maybe it possibly could be. I just know when I see that Eastern storytelling, that Eastern look, that anime-esque look, I'm already interested as well too. But the Nier Automata vibes I got from that as well too. I also got kind of Bayonetta feels as well too, like a Devil May Cry. I don't know if the combat's gonna be similar to that, but I got some of the vibes like that as well too. So action RPG is what I believe this is kind of leaning into for sure. And listen, not everything has to be fully open world. If it's a little bit more linear, you can
bounce off bounce off a little bit here and there, check stuff,
you're
and
pushing
get back to it.
Yeah, pushing things forward. I'm all down for it. So I think this has a lot of potential. I think as we were chatting about it while watching this, I think the three of us that were chatting about it, we're like, wow, this is kind of surprising us right now. It looks really good. I love the monster design.
Yeah, some of them look fucking dope.
Very, very horror-esque in some ways as well too. So yeah, sign me up. Playing it. Man,
when this combat really kicks in, we'll see if we can get to some of it real quick. But yeah, I think it was called Astral Unchained.
That's what it was.
I think that's what it was called. But
yeah,
lots of vibes of that. The voice work sounds good. And it's got all those little Japanese RPG elements to it. So I mean, it's gonna be a lot of you can really get into the nitty gritty. Probably gonna have some deep menus. Go in there and kind of build your character. But I mean, you can craft stuff, you can buy stuff. There's there's multiple different weapon types. It looks like a pretty extensive skill tree.
Pretty gnarly.
But I mean, man, when this game gets moving, when the action kicks in, I was just like, dude, this is kind of...
Yeah, there was a couple boss battles that look pretty fucking
This looks kind of sexy. So, I mean, it's something I knew they announced. I think it had a different title a year or so ago when they first unveiled it. And then they did another reveal where they gave it a title, and now this is kind of like the first big deep dive. I think it's about a 7 or 8 minute trailer. So if you guys get a chance, head over there. If this is something that kind of speaks to you, check out the trailer. It shows quite a bit, and it looks really, really good in motion. So really excited to check this out. Again, this drops on April 26th. Sony has quite a few games coming out these next couple months.
Their late winter spring is actually quite stacked right now. To the fact where like I don't know, there's a couple. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna juggle this?
Dude, I mean, you've got Rebirth at the end of this month. You've got, we'll talk about it in a minute, Rise of Ronin the month later, and then a month after that you got Stellar Blade. You got Helldivers 2 dropping next week. There's a lot of stuff that is exclusive to their platform. They might not necessarily be first party titles, but they're coming from PlayStation Studios or second party or whatever you want to call it. I mean, this shit looks fucking. Yeah. This looks fucking awesome.
This looks fun.
So Pacific Drive on the 22nd. I mean, there is just an insane amount of games coming out that Sony's really excited about. And I mean, honestly, man, that's one thing that always kind of like annoys me with gaming in general is just when you have this onslaught of games that are obviously going to take longer than probably lengthy games, and you have 1 month to finish it because you want to get to the next hot game when it comes out. So it's going to be tough, but I think this looks really good. Something I'm definitely going to be curious about, but it's the next title, Tone, that let's preface this by saying, you and I are big Ghost of Tsushima guys. We love Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch crushed it with that game. It's a fucking awesome game. It was an amazing experience.
Right, Cuddles.
They announced Rise of Ronin early last year, or I think it was middle of the year or something like that. When they announced Rise of Ronin, I saw it. I was just like, this looks really similar to Ghost of Tsushima. And I was like, why can't we just get Ghost of Tsushima 2? What is this going to be about? Like, is this going to be a knockoff of it? I wasn't really too hyped about it. But then, of course, they run our trailer today, and it looks fucking awesome. I'm not feeling Rose of Ronin at all. It just looks, I mean, like, I think it looks fun. I think it looks really good, especially when it gets to the combat. Because I wasn't sure if this was going to be something like, God, what's the, I do this all the time. I blank on games that I know. There's 2 titles that came out on PlayStation. They're kind of like Souls games that were set in this setting.
Like Sekiro?
No, not similar to Sekiro. Neo, thank you.
Neo. Yeah.
I thought that's what this was gonna be.
Isn't the same team?
Is it Koi or Team Ninja?
Tecmo, isn't it? Whatever, originally Tecmo or whatever it was, or
something like that.
Something like that. I could be wrong on that, but yeah.
But then I watched this trailer and I was like, oh, yeah, Team Ninja. There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
But I mean, I looked at this and I was like, this looks kind of like a mixture of like Assassin's Creed with some of its gameplay elements and Ghost of Tsushima. You've got like the Assassin's Creed look to it when you're running around and exploring stuff and the way you maneuver through the cities. But then you get to the combat here and you're switching stances, much like Ghost of Tsushima. And I was just like, okay, this actually looks, and the parry system looks fucking dope. And I love when they put effort into a parry system, whether it's a slowdown or the way they react to to your parries. I think this actually, the grappling hook looks pretty cool. That could be a cool way to maneuver around the map. Dude.
Listen, I know I don't hear a lot of people that talk about Neo, but I know that Neo has a cult following.
Yeah.
Those games do because of the Ninja Gaidens. They're like very, they're realistically, in my opinion, I always say they're like some of the early Souls game when when Ninja Gaiden came out on Xbox back in the day.
Yeah.
Black or whatever it was. Those games turned into kind of Neo at this point, and being as the same folks, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this looks awesome, but is this going to be teetering on like, a pretty hard, challenging difficulty?
Right.
Because that's my only apprehension, because we know I ain't got no patience for that.
Right.
So, like, I'm curious. I want to see and know more about the combat like we're looking at here. Are we going to get the Souls comparisons? Are they going to get the Ghost of Tsushima, kind of comparisons?
I'm hoping it's more accessible like Ghost of Tsushima. I don't care if it has. I don't care if it has like little bits and pieces of Soul stuff.
Sure.
But if it's more accessible, where I'm just like, okay, I can explore this world and have fun,
right,
and be engaged with the combat. And when a challenge presents itself, I'm cool with like getting serious for a minute. But then let me go back to fucking around.
Right. I don't want to rip my dick off playing a game. No thanks.
So we know that Rise of Ronin will feature a complex storyline. It takes place in late 19th century Japan. We're going to have a variety of weapons, melee and ranged weapons, various combat stances and styles, a parry system, stealth takedowns. You can use a fucking glider to drop down and attack people. You can build relationships with other characters. And there will be multiple. This game was created with multiple playthroughs in mind. So it's encouraging you to go back and play through it again, try out different stuff, because you're going to be able to kind of like affect the story or how people react to certain things. And I dig that, man. I think that sounds cool. I think this looks really good. But, man, in the middle of March, You've got Stellar Blade after that. You've got some stuff coming out before. You got Rebirth. I mean, I just can't see you being done with Rebirth by the time Rise of Ronin comes out. Where you can be like,
as slow as I play games these days, yeah.
I mean, that's going to be really, really difficult. But no, I think it looks good. It's more appealing than what I thought when they first announced it.
Same.
But I remember you mentioned it when we were talking about it. You were just like, once Ghost of Tsushima came out, I felt like there was just so many people trying to make games like that.
I feel like every time somebody catches lightning in a bottle, like a genre like spike with everybody trying to clone that. And I felt like this was that. I even kind of felt Sekiro was, but then it ended up being more of a soul style. But, who knows? We'll see. I mean, truth be told, Team Ninja and these guys have been making ninja games for a long time. So if anybody is probably, it's like I always said when Uncharted came out. Uncharted came out and did what Lara Croft did early on and did it better. And then 2013, Lara Croft came out and said, hang on a second.
I can do that.
I can still do this. So, you know what I mean? That's how I kind of feel like this might be. So.
Did you hear about the confused Robin that didn't join
Ronin?
the fight when he was told to? He said, "Send who? Samurai." Oh, Samurai.
Fucker. That fucker.
I caught it.
You silly boy.
All right, so moving on from that, another title that we knew that was being worked on. We knew it was announced. I think it was kind of hinted at a year ago, but we finally got to see more from Ken Levine, who was the creator of BioShock.
Lead singer Maroon 5.
But he opened up a new studio called Ghost Story Games, and this is his upcoming title, and it's called Judas. Now, there wasn't a date released in this trailer. There might have been a window at the end. I can't remember. But according to a Take-Two earnings call recently, it does have a release date. They're scheduled. They're trying to have it out by March of 2025. But, dude, watching this trailer, so many BioShock vibes, especially when it kind of shows you some of the gameplay. You got that, you kind of use like those steampunk weapons. Then you've got the magic and abilities that you're using. So it definitely has that BioShock look to it with its art style and the way that he creates his worlds. I'm curious about it. I agree with Brian. I want to see more of it.
Yep.
But, Ken Levine has shown that he is capable of conjuring up really thought-provoking stories and mixing it with really fun, engaging gameplay, very unique gameplay. I thought this trailer was good at kind of piquing my interest, but like Brian, I want to see a lot more like gameplay and how these story missions are going to play out and more about the characters involved. But I thought overall, it was a nice reveal. I knew that he was working on something, but we hadn't heard a whole lot about it. But today we got to see a little bit of gameplay. We got to see some story elements to it. I think this looks dope. I was a huge fan of the BioShock games, so anytime Ken's going to come together and try something new that's going to have the same aesthetic and the same kind of like elements to it, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Did you like the BioShock games?
I played through probably about half of BioShock.
Mm-hmm.
It comes back to that first person thing for me. Like,
yeah.
I loved and it was also actually one of those games because I felt it was kind of creepy. Like I felt like my anxiety would spike on me.
Yeah, it is. It's a creepy fucking game.
But it's again the first person games like that. Like either they get old or I lose interest, or it's just a hard sell for me. Now, that being said, I recognize that I love the art design. I think the concept is fucking cool as shit. Like,
yeah.
There's times where I actually like if people don't realize that I've rarely been called out on it, but when I ask somebody to do something for me, I will say, "Would you kindly?"
Would you kindly, please? Yeah.
Right, and people don't usually catch up on that. I've had one person, I think, point that out to me.
Dude, anytime I hear somebody say that, I'm just like, I want to ask him, like, are you doing that on purpose?
Right. I definitely do it on purpose. But
I want to give you credit, but if you're not, I'm going to say you're a fucking loser.
But no, I mean, this looks cool. I don't know if it's anything I would jump into, but I would certainly watch people play it or whatever it is.
So if it's slated for if Take-Two is currently slating that for March, then I'm assuming by Game Awards or sometime this fall, we'll have probably another PlayStation State of Play where they'll kind of do like a deep dive into how they've done some of these other titles. So I thought that was an interesting reveal. I was kind of excited about that. Tone, look, man, I know we're in the minority, but we are fans of VR gaming. Big fans of VR gaming. And today, we got a trailer from Vertigo Games, who is working alongside, I think, is it Monolith? Can't remember who the developer was of I don't think, maybe it is Monolith. I can't remember. The developer of Metro. They are making a Metro Awakening VR game that'll be on PlayStation VR 2, MetaQuest 2 and 3, as well as Steam VR. It's going to feature an all-new Metro story. The one thing that I've always is it Monolith? Oh, Deep Silver. Well, that's
Deep
the
Silver,
publisher.
that's what it was,
That's the publisher though.
Yeah, I remember seeing Deep Silver though.
But anyways, so like the gameplay here, man. First of all, Metro games are fucking wild. Like
Very
those
underrated.
are really immersive, difficult, like first person shooters with a lot of stealth elements to it. And man, this game looks fucking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny because they ran this VR trailer out, and then immediately after they ran this other one out that was like a knight fighting like, and I was just like, oh, you had to follow up Metro. Like this looks really good, and like we've seen games now, Red Matter and Synopsis and other titles on PlayStation VR 2 that shows that you can kick out a visually stunning game on PSVR 2. And man, when you take something like fucking Metro.
Mm-hmm.
And you put yourself in that, because I mean, it's already an immersive game. Like,
Yeah.
it really is. It's a very just deep, intense game.
Mm-hmm.
And to put yourself in those shoes, in those Russian environments and the tunnels and the subways and shit with all the creatures that are around, that looks fucking dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that looks really, really good. I just remembered I am partnered with Deep Silver, but I can't bring myself to play Payday 3. Dude, I have that downloaded still, but I don't even know, man. Like, I don't even know if I want to turn it on.
You got other stuff coming out this fall or spring.
And it sucks, man. It really sucks because I was really excited with Payday 3, but it was just like they had the issue. I don't think it was so much the game itself, like the concept of the game. It was the fact that the servers were shit. Whoever they went through with their servers was just they weren't prepared and it was a total fucking mess. And they ended up having to switch over to another provider. So I mean that took a lot of downtime and tweaking things. They weren't able to like really work on the game because they were trying to work on the infrastructure of the online portion, and it just kind of pushed everything. Yeah, the third parties.
Yeah, they were
totally,
running, I think, out of Oklahoma or something.
Something they weren't prepared for it at all, and they just proved that they weren't capable of doing it. So they had to get like a whole new third party of provider, and then port everything over to their servers. And in the meantime, that just constantly pushes back content or anything that they might be working on because you got to get that stuff configured on the new servers. And it's unfortunate, man. Like I was really bummed about that. And at some point, maybe one day, Cuddles and I will just be like, you know what? Let's go fucking play it. Let's go play it. Let's just see.
You won't.
Let's just see.
Maybe.
I'm hoping because I really do love that game, man. I do the series. I mean, because it's such a cool idea. But yeah, that thing was kind of fucked from the beginning. We'll talk about live service games here in a minute. But Tone, the last game that we want to talk about. We got a lengthy trailer for 9 minutes.
Was it 9 minutes? I was close. Okay.
9-minute trailer for Death Stranding 2.
9 minutes of erection.
Dude, now look, I have not even come close to finishing Death Stranding 1.
Oh, weird.
I know, right? But I mean, from when I played, I was like, this is cool. I'm just wondering how long it's going to keep me captivated. And
Sure.
obviously not very long. But you did run the credits. You were able to see the finish of it. I know you think very highly of that game, even though it's kind of a divisive game. Like some people really love it, some people fucking hate it. I know you enjoyed it. Seeing this trailer, man, how do you feel about Death Stranding 2?
Oh, I'm excited to see what kind of weird shit we're getting into now. Like, that's the thing about the first Death Stranding is I get that it is a unique concept, but it also requires, which I rarely have, is patience and it's hard to explain the gameplay overall because the game the entire time is meant to be like meta in some ways as well too, especially because of the pandemic. We were just coming out of that, but also just to be really weird storytelling that's pretty typical of Kojima.
Yeah.
He's always had just like slivers of it in the Metal Gear series. This allowed him to really go quite extra with it, but this trailer looks really fucking sweet. Like you're seeing some of the characters. I'm already kind of wondering about some certain things because the way it concluded in the last game. Honestly, as soon as I saw a character, I'm like, is that who I think it is? Is that Higgs? Is that Troy Baker?
Yeah.
Fucking looking like David Bowie, Kefka, the guitar player. So it definitely is still going to be very weird. And like I said, I know this kind of storytelling isn't for everybody. I totally get it here as well too. And I also have thought process even on why they're colored like that as well too. But anyways, I digress. I'm excited. Like I said, is it the most fun and engaging game that probably anybody can play Death Stranding? Absolutely not.
But is it thought-provoking?
Is it thought-provoking? Yes. Is it very like spooky and like one of those rare games that spike my anxiety when BTs attack or whatever. Abso-fucking-lutely. Especially when you're hearing shit through the fucking microphone.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, so, he likes to create experiences. He likes to be, otherworldly, meta about things, and I'm sure it's going to be the same, and I'm always going to be here for it when it comes to Kojima-san.
See, man, like I'm pretty sure I didn't get far in the game at all because, like, in this trailer, he walks into like an armory and there's guns. I don't even know if I came across guns. Are there guns in Death Stranding?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is there combat like that, like shooting combat?
Fuck yeah, there is.
See, I didn't even get. I think I got to the first boss fight I got to. I don't know if it was a semi-boss or whatever, but it's the one where you're in the small town and there's that black stuff everywhere, kind of like, and you're jumping on rooftop to rooftop, and there's some kind of like huge creature. I think that's the only boss I ever got to, and even then, I don't remember having a gun. I was just like, man, this is just not really thrilling, But I mean, I remember, dude, this little fucking puppet thing. That shit's hilarious, dude. When even its animation when it moves around, it's kind of creepy.
Purposefully, like stunted or whatever.
Yeah. It was just, but again, this is the sort of shit when you get a Kojima game where you let him to kind of like go outside the box and really kind of like come at you from different angles. You're just like, what the fuck is this puppet doing? In this game,
when you play anything outside of Metal Gear Solid, typically, especially these days, because that was what he, his flagship for so long. You just have to have an open mind. That's just really what it is. You got to like weird shit and weird storytelling, and I'm weird, so there it is.
How many hours did it take to complete the first one?
I probably put in, I don't know, 50, 60 hours maybe.
Oh, really?
You can, I'm just guesstimating right now. It might have been more than that, truth be told. You can put so many hours into that, like rebuilding things and, working with the Strand shit.
Where's that
nonstop.
shot that was fucking incredible where he's like, I don't know if he's on a moon.
He was not on the moon. He's just probably in some like wasteland.
I mean, when they show the shot, it looks like he's on a fucking moon.
That's
like,
probably when he's on the beach, and that's why I'm curious when they're talking about the beach on this as well too, because that all ties in.
This looks dope here, like
yeah.
the effect. This is obviously the Decima engine that they use for Horizon when that bridge collapses during this flood. These spots are always eerie as fuck for me. Yeah. That's a beautiful shot, but there is one where he's walking and there's like a moon or something in front of him. Yeah, there's your BTs. Moon.
Yeah, fuck that.
There it is. That is fucking an incredible shot. When I saw it, I was just like, dude, that's fucking wild, man. But no, it looks, like I said, man, it looks compelling. It looks captivating. It looks fun. That's fucking George Miller.
Yeah.
The director of Mad Max playing that character. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he has an extensive role. Was Del Toro big in the original, or was he just kind of here and there?
Yeah, he played a point of character that would help you with certain explanations and things, and he was your point of contact to explain or work with.
Kind of like a narrator, so to speak?
No, you would talk to him from time to time.
And stuff?
Kind of like he would explain certain things because of the BB unit that you had on him, the baby. Mm-hmm. He was. I think he was involved in like either creating them or whatever it was with that. So, he was a pretty big part of it at times for sure.
Yeah, dude, this looks and there's a combat. Like I said, I never got to the weapons combat, so I mean, like I said, man, I was just like, I don't know if it's gonna get me. And then I see this, I'm like, but dude, I just gotta see this guy. Like Troy Baker looks fucking hilarious, man. Like not hilarious, like he just like creepy, like hilariously creepy. Like he's got this Joker thing going on.
Yeah, he looks like Kefka to me in a way, which is from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, though and the thing that I love about what Kojima does with his mocapping, like he gets those little mannerisms so well that allow Troy Baker to give this character so much kind of like charm. Like I mean, just,
the crow
just like,
too.
Yeah. I mean, he just has like these interactions that you're able to capture, and it's just like, dude, that's fucking wild, man. Yeah, dude, exactly, the crow.
Got the guitar and everything, so.
But no, I thought this looked good. I mean, I have to finish the first one. I can't just jump into this one. But you're pretty excited about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got the collector's edition for the first one. If they do another collector's edition, something wild for this one, I'll probably have to pick it up. I don't buy collector's editions for video games these days, but I usually give him Kojima gets a pass on a lot of things. So
no, I dig it, man. No,
Bowie Crow, there you go. Yeah, Bowie Crow.
Bowie Crow.
Yeah.
And so we had those trailers. So and there were several other trailers throughout the show that looked, except for Foam Stars, dude. Look, if you want to sit there and make a game that's like Ghost of Tsushima, that's fine. There's a lot of different ways to do things a little bit differently and to make it different.
Sure.
Foam Stars is a blatant fucking ripoff of Splatoon, and every time I see it, I'm just like, shame on you Square.
Mad.
Shame on you for that fucking just deliberate ripoff. It's a Plus game. I'm not downloading that shit. And then I thought it was hilarious where you're like, watch this become like the next big like streaming game. I'm gonna be so fucking mad,
It's
dude.
the next fucking Rocket League.
Oh my god, that foam star was like fucking terrible. All right, so Tone, the last thing that they did is, of course, Kojima finished up with Death Stranding 2, but then they brought Kojima on for another announcement. And it is a collaboration between Kojima Productions and PlayStation Studios. And Kojima is going to create a brand new IP for PlayStation, an action espionage title.
Stealthy title.
A stealthy action espionage title, which sounds
like
a lot like Metal Gear.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, fuck you, Konami.
Right.
I can still make this. I'm just not going to call it Metal Gear.
Right.
But Kojima described this as a culmination of his work, and he hopes to transcend the barriers between film and video games. Now, look, if there's one thing that Kojima has always been a fan of, it's movies. Obviously, the people he interacts with, Del Toro, George Miller. I mean, he is a
Peele.
Jordan Peele. He loves to interact because movies is where he draws all his inspiration from.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think they got Snake from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken. I mean, he loves movies. He loves storytelling. And so now this is going to be interesting because supposedly this is going to be a cutting edge tech is going to be used for this. His idea is to bridge that gap between movies and video games. He wants to blur the lines where this is going to be an interactive game that's going to play out like a movie.
Night Trap.
I mean, dude, there you go. Now he did say this is going to begin in earnest after Death Stranding 2 comes out, or whenever that ships. It's supposed to be 2025. So that's when it's going to begin in earnest. So we're looking at like 2027.
Yeah.
Which he does say. Now that's the last thing I want to address because Brian makes he is not coming out to PlayStation 6. After this video ended, it kind of did this panning shot with a drone where it went back, and you could see they were at Columbia Pictures.
Which is
the studio for Columbia Pictures, and in the background you could see Columbia Pictures and then Fizzant. And so Kojima took to Twitter and he said Fizzant, which is the working title, will be the third new original IP since the establishment of Kojima Productions. It is a completely new action espionage for the next generation. Now, does he mean next generation of gamers? Or does he mean next generation of hardware?
Right.
It will be created using cutting-edge technology and the best talents from around the world, both from film and video games. Of course, this is an interactive game, but the look, storyline, theme, cast, acting, fashion, sound, etc. are all the next level of digital entertainment that could be called a movie. End quote. This sounds like a big deal. But yeah, I think Brian's right, man. I'd be really surprised if this is a PS5 title. But I mean, there's rumors that we're going to get a PS5 Pro at the end of this year, along with the second iteration of the Nintendo Switch. So with Death Stranding 2 not coming out till next year, and Kojima tends to take a little bit of time with his games. I mean, with Death Stranding, the first one came out, 2019?
Yeah.
2018?
Might have been 18. No.
Anyways, 4 or 5 years.
Might have been 18.
So if development begins in earnest once this game, Death Stranding 2 ships, we're looking at like four more years. So that's 2028, 2029. I don't think Brian's wrong saying that this is going to be a PlayStation 6
Very
title.
possible.
Because he wants cutting-edge tech. He wants everything to be... He wants to blur those lines between playing a video game and watching a movie. And as good as the hardware is now for them to create these games and the graphics cards are out there, we're not quite there yet to like really be like, holy shit, that looks ultra real.
Right, and I think he's always had aspirations of movie making. Cuddles makes the joke that some Metal Gear games were more like movies because of the cutscenes. You know, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, certainly, you know, it was an hour and a half end cutscene for that when we rolled credits at 5 a.m. So certainly it is. He's a storyteller.
Oh yeah.
And I think this is the closest he may be able to get to that outside of actually like, you know, being able to direct a movie, but somebody's got to care, fund or whatever. This is his way of doing the Kojima way, which is like transcending a little bit the two, blurring some lines and figuring out how to do it maybe his way, which, you know, I mean, again, with Kojima, there's a lot of people that don't care, that, you know, don't understand or whatever it is. It's not for you, and that's perfectly fine. But for those that do care, like this is like, holy shit, this is an evolution of, his work. So, and he talks about culmination and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, he's pretty big on the grandiose of those words a lot of times too.
He is.
But that's part of the love that you have with him as well too. But you can't ever say that he isn't a storyteller, and that's a thing for him mostly is right away is storytelling, whether it's weird or not, in dialogue.
And I've heard, and I remember a couple of reports. I'm trying to remember when that came out, and I don't know if it was directly from him, but there were a lot of people. Some people were speculating like he's getting kind of close to a long career. And if you look at this, like Cuddle pointed out, November 8, 2019 is when Death Stranding 1 came out.
That's what it was, yeah.
It's probably safe to assume that we're looking at fall 2025. And if that took 6 years, that's at the very earliest 2030. And because you look at like a game like Death Stranding, I mean, Kojima's not going to go out and make Death Stranding with all the motion capture and all the nuances that he has with his games. His stuff is very planned out, and he's very meticulous about things, very detailed. If you look at that, I mean, he's already been in the business for 40 years?
Yeah.
You spend another 6, 7 years, and he said this is going to be the culmination of all his work. You're looking at possibly this might be his last game.
Possible.
Which is crazy to think because the guy's been around forever. But, man, how fucking busy where does he have time for this?
I mean, you see him on Instagram, right? He's
always at the office.
And this is starting to make sense with this now, too, because think who he's had hanging out at the office a lot recently.
Yeah.
Movie stars.
Yeah.
All the last year.
Yes.
Tons.
Yep.
Keanu. I think I even saw Frodo Baggins recently. What's his fucking name?
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, I think I saw recently as well, too. So, he's putting some framework down for something.
But, I mean, he's got Death Stranding 2 he's working on. He's working on that OD game for Xbox. And now he has another collaboration set with Sony for this action IP or action espionage.
And who knows what he hasn't announced yet as well, too.
I mean, damn, dude, I didn't know a studio was that big where you could just sit there and take on multiple projects. I'm going to call it a night. See y'all later. Hey, Panda, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Have a good night. But, yeah, man, this was exciting news. I mean, just the fact that he's going back to action espionage, fuck yes.
There we go.
I mean, I'm there for it, dude, every single time. But overall, dude, how would you grade the state of play?
State of play, I'm actually sitting at like... Man, it's a tough call. I would say for me and my enjoyment, because I was actually dialed into most stuff, I'm looking at like an A-.
You going with an A-? I'm going to go with a B+.
A-. Yeah, I was thinking maybe a B+, but I'm putting it over the edge because I feel like I was dialed into pretty much everything that they showed.
Yeah, the only spots they lost me a little bit was Foam Stars.
Liar.
And Foam Stars and the other VR game.
The other VR game.
They ran out after Metro. I was just like, oh, God, like, why?
But the reason I still kind of go over the crest from the B+ was because Rise of Ronin really surprised me seeing more of it because now it got me interested. And that, honestly, that Stellar Blade, like, I was, and we didn't even see a Metro VR game coming at all. So.
In 1986, he was hired by Konami for which he designed and wrote Metal Gear 1987. Yeah, close to 40 years already. That's a long time to be working, man.
That fucking game is hard. The original Nintendo Metal Gear game.
Yeah, it's
fucking hard.
It's very, very difficult. It's not known for being a very accessible game for a lot of people, even at that time. But overall, yeah, I think B+. And don't forget, next week there'll be another State of Play Tone where they're going to jump into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I'm sure you'll have your pants around your ankles for that one, bud.
That's right. Looking at Tifa Lockhart.